Hello, good evening, and welcome to the Talkin Kop. It is January the 1st, 2025. A big happy new year to you all. I hope you had a great Christmas. I hope you're having a great new year, and hopefully the rest of the year goes magnificently for you. It's myself, Gav. It's Matt. He's been on annual leave, Christmassy stuff, where when he goes to see his family, it takes him about 4 days to get there and 4 days to get back. So he is back. Someone has noticed that Arsenal for Life is back in the chat. Aha! Arsenal must have won today. No, we haven't seen Arsenal for Life in a little while, but as always, you're very, very, very welcome. And we do like the views of Arsenal for Life in here, and very balanced in fairness. Matt, how are you? How was your Christmas? In a footballing sense, in a life sense, whatever way you want to do it, go for it.
Well, you kind of know the answer to this question already, but
Yeah,
my dog died over the Christmas break, so
very sad.
yeah. I mean, at least our one cat got what she wanted for Christmas, which was no more dog. So
Okay,
that's positive.
you got to
So
get a new dog.
there will be, yeah. We've already started sending out some inquiries. The issue with
Do you send
having
out
one
inquiries
corgi.
about the purchase of a dog?
Yeah, it's once you let your wife get a taste of the corgi, it's nothing but corgis. It seems like from here on out. So you can't
Okay,
just go down to the pound and grab yourself a Pembroke Welsh corgi. You gotta source one out.
okay, you have the source of corgi. Fair play. Paul says Matt looks like he's just got back from Woodstock, 1969. You are in that area now where your hair is no longer short and it's trying to be
I
long,
hate
but
it.
it's not quite there.
I hate it. It's gonna be a year of this annoying length. I despise it, but it can't get long if I cut it now. So I just have to
Would you not
soldier
keep it? Would you
through.
not keep it short? I think people like the short
No,
hair. No.
no. It's I've been told by the women in my life that I made a huge mistake cutting it all off. So now I have to
Okay.
go through the 3 year process of growing it all back again.
Right.
So
Stay tuned. Um,
I got to have something to set on fire in Liverpool. So
yeah. So January 2027 ish, and he'll be back to his full magnificent best.
that's
But
right.
look, we're gonna get into the contracts. And I know people are sick talking about them, but I want to look at them in a slightly different way because I've kind of read the reaction to certain things that have been said in the media or put into the media over the last couple of days, and I think the variety of reaction has been bananas, and it's just been mad. And look, I think it made me realize that you can have a really good point on this, regardless of what way you think it is going or is going to go. So we will talk about the contracts in a little bit. But look, you haven't been on since probably before Christmas, I think.
Yeah.
Um, and Liverpool in that time have won away at Spurs. They've beaten Leicester at home. They've gone and won at West Ham. They're preparing to face the Manchester United side on Sunday, who've been appalling, and a lot of Liverpool fans feel that Liverpool should turn up, do their absolute utmost in this game, and put United to the sword. But how have you felt about the Christmas period as a whole? Not only Liverpool results, but other results around them that have left them, all things being equal, 9 points clear.
You can't have a lot of complaints about how we played. So yeah, my last show was after the Spurs game, which was a little bit kind of harem scarum towards the end, but we were never going to lose that game the way we were playing, the way they were playing. And then Leicester and West Ham were, I mean, the fact that Leicester was the much more difficult of the two games is probably a bit of a surprise. West Ham were abysmal. They were so bad, but we were so good. And just the form that Mo Salah's in right now is outrageous. I'm going to be able to watch that touch that he takes before Gakpo scores for the second goal in that West Ham game for years. It's it's an outrageous piece of skill to just stop the ball like that on a half turn. He makes me very happy. So that kind of rolls into the contract stuff that we're talking about. But I mean, in terms of results, Chelsea get a bloodied nose. City, I mean, they're back on the horse, I guess now, but they lost it another couple of times, which is absolutely hilarious. Man United are shockingly bad. So everything around us kind of fell in our favor. Arsenal look like they're the ones that are going to be the closest thing to a title rival that we're going to have. Nottingham Forest just keep kind of chugging along, but behind it all and just less and less in the background with each passing week, we just look like a juggernaut. And that little blip of the Newcastle and Fulham draws back to back seems like it's in the rearview mirror now. We're starting to get some players back from injury, and like with the exception of the topic of the show tonight in terms of these 3 contracts and the fact that it's silly transfer season, everything is humming nice with the Reds.
Yeah. You know, like I've been looking at it, and it might have been Shawnee I was talking to today, and he said, "Lads, imagine if Kelleher just caught that ball at Newcastle. Forget the Fulham thing, because you know we probably should beat Fulham, even with 10 men. But you know we could have been 11 clear of Arsenal, going in. Now, having said that, Arsenal could point to, well, what if we won that game or we didn't draw this game? You know, that sort of way. So it was just kind of a romantic kind of thing of, geez, if he just caught that fucking ball, you know. But it's one of those where I've looked across the Christmas period and I thought we were unbelievable at Spurs. Like genuinely, you know, I really do think we could have put 10 past them, and I think they get one really good goal, and the other 2 I think are very, very avoidable. Now people will say, oh well, a lot of Liverpool goals could have been avoidable. Yeah, but the thing was, Liverpool were cutting through Spurs at will, you know. And if Liverpool really, if you wanted to take 2 or 3 off Liverpool, they probably could have still come out with 7 goals, you know, the sort of way. I just thought they were unbelievable. The Leicester one, they go behind early, but they completely, utterly control the game. And it's funny because I've when you talk about Arsenal, I think Leicester have a shot, 3 shots in the first 10 minutes at Anfield, and then they don't literally get near Liverpool's goal for the rest of the game. And people are like, oh, I'd be worried about that performance. Arsenal went out the next night, or maybe whatever night it was after, and they win 1-0 against Ipswich, who have 1 shot in the whole 90 minutes, and it's a blocked shot. And it's a very similar game, except Liverpool scored 3 and Arsenal scored 1. And people are like, oh, Arsenal, you know, got the job done, and I'd be worried about that if I was an Arsenal fan. And I was like, why? They won the fucking game. They were under no threat whatsoever. They brought players on, they brought players off. They possibly could have had a couple more goals, but they got the thing done. And it's actually mad when you see teams winning games fairly convincingly, even by forgetting the scoreline, where people go, I'll be worried about that now after that. I'm like, you've just played a home Premier League game where some team have scored a goal, fair, but they've literally not touched the ball in your box for 90 minutes when you add all the injury time in. And it's just like, stop overhyping this stuff. Teams will get 1-0 wins, they'll get 2-0 wins, they'll hammer teams out the gate like we did against West Ham, and indeed like Arsenal realistically did against West Ham as well, if you're going to be fair. But overall for me, I think the Christmas period has been great. Minimal injuries, you know, players coming back, possibly this weekend against Manchester United. We're on a good roll. But looking into this run that's coming, and I don't mean to be flippant over this, Matt, but I'm going to ignore the League Cup / Champions League stuff for a minute, because I feel like the Champions League games are 2 games where we can experiment and not even experiment, it's allow people to have rests if needs be. The League Cup thing will be the League Cup thing, you know, whatever happens will happen. But the league was, Manchester United at home, Forest away, Brentford away. I think it's Ipswich at home. I think that might be the next 4 for Liverpool. Yeah. It feels like it's a really, really crunch period, this 4 games, because that'll put Liverpool onto 22 games, I think, and it'll put the rest on 23. So you're down to the last 15 games of the season, which will fly by. But it does feel like a crunch time, doesn't it? I think there's a lot of people looking around going, that United game won't be easy because it's United. You know, those 2 away games are difficult away games, and alright, Ipswich is probably the outlier where people expect Liverpool to just win that game, and they more than likely will. But on a number of levels, it feels crunch, doesn't it? Not only for what we're doing, for how others react to how we're doing, whether that's good or bad. It's a really important time, these 4 games, I feel.
Oh, I would guess you could say that about any block of 4 league games from now until the math is all settled, and say the same thing, just because the tension is getting real now. Like, we're at the halfway point. We're in the lead. We look good. You got to start worrying about faltering from a position of strength in the league and not getting this over the line. So every game is going to feel just like very tense and tight. But it's an interesting run of 4. The first thing to point out is the fact that Arsenal played before us on the weekend. So Arsenal could be 3 points behind us when we go into that United game. Yeah. And it puts a little bit more of that table pressure on it. Now, it's a little wonky because we'll have the 2 games in hand, the one that we're playing against United, of course. But, you know, it's at home to Manchester United. We are absolutely flying. They are absolute dog shit at the moment. You expect an easy victory for Liverpool, but we've all been in this situation in the past, going both ways, where a dominant Manchester United team and you expect Liverpool to get turned over and you put in a performance, and vice versa, where we're absolutely flying. We expect to, win 13-0 and you end up losing whatever it was, 2-0 or 2-1 at Old Trafford a couple of seasons ago. That game just has the background to it because it's Man United against Liverpool. And in the 2 away games, I'm less concerned about them now, having watched Brentford today against Arsenal, because they were guck. They were guck. I mean, they've got an impressive home record, a ton of injuries that they're dealing with currently, especially amongst their defenders. They look like they'd never seen a football before today, the way that they were kicking the ball. Like, it wasn't passing, it was just kicking. And it was terrible. They were the architects of their own downfall against that. And, I mean, even the Ipswich game at home, you think back to how we played against them in the first game of the season, they might have had a little bit more bounce to their step because it was their first game back in the top flight in whatever it is, 30 years or something like that. But just think back a couple of days ago, and Chelsea playing Ipswich would have felt like strong favorites going into it. The pressure to get that result across the line in a game you're expected to win. And Ipswich handled them fairly easily in the end, I would say. That Chelsea didn't look to be all that dangerous to it. So I think Ipswich is getting their shit together at the best possible time for them, because the other thing that happened over the Christmas break is it started to get real spicy for like who's going to finish 16th, 17th, 18th, 19th. That there's a nice little cluster of teams there, and it looks like we could actually have a half-decent relegation battle on our hands.
We definitely do.
I look at the teams down there, and I think Ipswich might be best suited out of the teams that have come up to stay up, because Leicester's defense is bad. Southampton are gone. And I think Ipswich, if Delap keeps playing the way that he's playing, Hutchison chipping in with goals, like they've got very decent enough fullbacks and defenders and stuff like that, that they might just have enough to get over the line. So I'm not taking anything for granted with this run of 4 games. But I mean, it's hard to say that there's a bigger game in our near future than hosting Manchester United. But I can tell you one thing, Arne Slot has got a giant circle on his calendar around the 14th of January, because the be in his bonnet over not Forest is like literally outrageous.
He fucking hates them. It's incredible. And every time Liverpool win a game, he just goes, yeah, but Forest. And he's just standing there like, mate, that was 3 months ago. 4 months, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? But like, just at the bottom of the table, like, I've listened to a couple of Everton podcasts since they were beaten by Forest, and they were just fuming over the fact that they went out and they done what they done against Chelsea and Arsenal and City, and they quickly realised that when you have to take the initiative in a game, Everton at home to Nottingham Forest, and which Forest wants you to do that. That's how Forest set up. I watched them recently at home to Spurs, and they literally went, yeah, you have all the fucking ball. Don't care, we're at home. We're literally playing like an away team every week. It doesn't bother us. And Everton just couldn't live with that. And we're worked out very quickly and lost the game. And Everton, despite 3 really morale boosting draws against top sides, that's thrown them back so much. That lost to Forest, because it's at home. Let's keep this run going, and they just don't. They fall flat on their face. And yeah, Southampton for me are gone. I think Wolves will pull away. I think Wolves just look organised now and have stopped trying to be fucking, Brazil 90 and 70, and have just decided, let's just play to our strengths, which is get it up to Yaman Cunha as quick as we can and see where we get to.
Yeah, they've got the best player of the worst teams. But the worst 5 or 6 teams.
They have but I think they're the better players of all of them. But the thing is, when you look at them, be competitive in midfield, get it wide, get it up front, back it up. They have good legs in midfield to get back. Me and Kev were only talking about this a couple of weeks ago. Stop trying to fucking play around the back with it. Stop all that. Just get it up the pitch. Not launch it, but be a little bit more direct out of defence with it, and it'll actually save you an awful lot more.
I think West Ham's in trouble of being pulled into that fight, because I think Palace have started to sort their issues out a little bit. Wolves, again, same thing. And the quality of both those squads is good. But Mikel Antonio is not a huge loss for West Ham, but it is another attacker for them. And with Bowen, it seems like he broke his foot, I think, in the game against us.
Yeah.
Bowen
fractured a foot, yeah.
Yeah, and they haven't fired Lopetegui yet. And he just doesn't seem like the type of manager that's going to be able to get him scoring enough goals or tight enough at the back that it feels like you could get Ipswich and Leicester and Wolves and Palace quickly reeling in West Ham United, because I think there's about a 4-point gap or a 5-point gap between the bottom teams and where West Ham and Man United are currently sitting in the table right now. That just feels like that could get pulled in really, really quickly on West Ham, because it's like I cannot emphasize enough how poor they were against us.
They were so bad against us. Cunha is injured and banned now, says Paul Giovanni. Wolves will struggle big time. Actually says Cunha is only a 2-game ban, which seems lenient. I don't know what he's being banned for. Like, that's my...
he kind of bumped into a steward. I can't remember who they were playing. And then he took that old guy's glasses from him.
Yes. Yeah. A home to Ipswich. It was a home to Ipswich. It was Gary O'Neill's last game. I do remember now. Sorry, I've completely slipped my mind. But yeah, West Ham did look so poor, and I think they looked a bit desperate for me. I think they put players on that pitch that day that I don't think were fit, but I think they had to look like they were putting them on and hope that, like, throw Liverpool's nerve off a bit. But
Wolves' schedule is horrific.
I haven't looked at Wolves.
They've got Notts Forest in the league, Bristol City in the cup. Then they have away to Newcastle, away to Chelsea, home to Arsenal, home to Villa, away to Liverpool, away to Bournemouth, home to Fulham.
Right, that's a serious run. Yeah,
the end of February.
That is a serious run of games, in fairness. But like they look like they could get more points than they did a couple of weeks ago. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And for me, Ipswich, I watched them against Newcastle. They were terrible, and again trying to play out and really high line, lads just pinging balls over the back of them. But what I seen against Chelsea was much more in a unit. And then when they were going forward, they were just getting it into the likes of Hutchison or whoever, that can turn on it, and the lap was just non-stop. He's not like, it didn't matter how many Chelsea defenders were near him or in that vicinity. He found space to get on the ball and turn them, and I thought he was excellent. In the extended highlights that I watched, he just seemed to be everywhere. Every time Ipswich went to go forward, it wasn't like he was just standing up there going, "Here, hit at me chest, and I'll try." Bully a few people. He was fucking everywhere. Shawnee absolutely adores him, by the way. He thinks he's absolutely unbelievable. So he might be one to watch in the next, I would say 6 to 8 months, with regards to a move out of Ipswich. But look, when it comes down to it, there's a lot of games to go. I still stand by my opinion that it's all on Arsenal to win this title. I think, people would say, and I did have someone say the other day, "Oh no, that's an underdog mentality. That's a small club mentality you're having." It's not. It's just the truth. You know what I mean? And somebody else had to go at me because I asked them to enjoy the journey of the season. They were like, "No, that's small time," and I was like, "No, it's not," because you have to just enjoy it as it goes. Like, whether you enjoy it or stress the fuck out now, it's not going to make a blind bit of difference what happens at the end. So why don't you maximise the enjoyment you're having right now? Because your levels of enjoyment have, like, if people are sitting there going, "If I enjoy myself here now, Liverpool won't win the league because I've over-enjoyed myself and the world is going to fucking turn on its head here and stop Liverpool in the league because I'm having a fucking great time." Not how it works. Enjoy it. Because even if you don't win it at the end of the season, you can point and go, "Well, I enjoyed all of it." Do you know what I mean? Where if you get to the end of the season, you don't win it, you go, "I enjoyed fuck all of that." Like, that is nothing. Like, so that's where I am on it. It's not.
Continue to give the same amount of shits. Like, let's say you have 100 shits to give and you've evenly split it 50-50 on good results and bad results. Just give 90 of them to when we have good results, and just care less when you have a bad result. Don't let it ruin your weekend. Don't let it put you in a sour mood and make the people around you be like, "Oh shit, Liverpool must have lost today," because that guy is a grumpy shit right now.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong. Like, I love every game. I watch it. I'd be fucking delighted. My daughter's gone big into Liverpool in the last 6-8 months. She's like every day telling me the latest news and all sorts of stuff, like, to the, and I'm loving that part of it. But there is parts of me after the game where, like, after West Ham, and I go, "The fucking brilliant win. Jesus. Let me have a look at the goal difference. Oh, who are we playing now?" And you're kind of mapping stuff out in your head and stuff like that. Like, John says, Liverpool should be winning the league. If we don't, this is an all-time bottle job. It really is. It would haunt us for years to come. You should go back and really look at Newcastle in 1995, 96, John. That was bananas. Like, bananas how far they were ahead. But my thing on it is, like, John, and then John says all the pressure on Liverpool now. You can't have the leads we've had this season and not win the league. but it's not. Like if you're sitting here now, right? Who do you think the pressure's on? Honestly, who do you think the pressure's on? When you
Oh,
look at
I think
when,
it's all on us.
do
I
you?
think it's all
You
on
see,
us.
I don't,
Yeah.
because I think, right, we're in a brilliant position. So why would we be under pressure of it? And all of the narratives everywhere in football is about one team and one team only, and it's not us. It's genuinely not us. It's Arsenal Football Club, because of the way they've been built up over the last 2 years. That all the narratives are around, oh, Arsenal, it's this, it's this, it's this, it's this. And it is on us to win it. Don't get me right, Kev says it's on us. Absolutely, we should be trying to win the league, and we should believe, and I do believe Liverpool will win the league. But at the same time, I'm looking going, we're just going along about our business here, and people keep going, we haven't played anyone, and these players are missing, and they're doing up lists of injured players that we played against, but they don't list any injured players that Arsenal may have, missed out on playing because they were injured. It's all about what they're doing and how they're going, and maybe it's because they
That's
want.
why I think.
Maybe it's
That's why
because
I
they
think
want to make it. The mainstream media want to make it interesting. They don't look. To be honest, Liverpool are 4-1 on to win the title. I checked the odds today. But my thing is, maybe it's just me, and maybe it's the way Liverpool are carrying themselves. But I don't see the pressure on Liverpool. I don't see a Liverpool team that look under pressure or look inhibited by what's going on. I see a Liverpool side that are going, we're really good. We're probably a little bit better than we thought we were going to be this season, and it's great. And maybe we'll lose a game and draw a game, and then you'll see, oh, Liverpool look nervous now. But right now, like, I think it's all on one team, and it's not us. And that's not
Okay,
me telling
I
us we
think
shouldn't win it. Come on.
I think there's multiple ways of breaking this down. It's like I obviously don't get saturated in the British media because, like I can't watch BBC because I can't use iPlayer because I live in the wrong country and all that horseshit. Like I don't have Sky Sports. But to me, the narrative around Arsenal should be the narrative that we have around Arsenal, which is like, why are you guys not running away with this league? Arsenal should be 15 points clear of everybody else in this league. With the season that Manchester City's having, that should have been their only legitimate challenger. At the start of the season, it was a 2-horse race for everybody. It was City or Arsenal. Take your pick of who of these two you think it is. But that's not the way that I interpret the narrative as being painted. It's Arsenal are so unfortunate with injuries, and Liverpool are so lucky. And that's why it feels to me that the pressure is on Liverpool right now, is because all the shit that we've heard through the media of, oh, every team's at their absolute weakest when they play Liverpool, and Arsenal have all these terrible injuries, ignoring the obvious flip sides to that, which is our own injuries and the luck that the other teams have that, when they get wins, nobody talks about the fact that Brentford had 10 players out today. It's just, Arsenal went to Brentford, scored a couple of set-piece goals. Aren't they absolutely fantastic? And they carry on from there. But I think for us, it flips as fans. I think it has to have flipped because we've already eclipsed, I think, pretty much the best hopes that anybody could have had for this team.
Yeah.
We are so far ahead. Where
Dan
anybody
Jace,
could have.
Dan Jay says, I feel zero pressure. What will be, but this team is incredible and loads better than what people believe. Oh, yeah, that's where I kind of am with it. Let me see. Jonathan says it's December, Gav. Well, yeah, December, January. We won't get into it. The pressure comes in March, April onwards. Absolutely. And I think, to be fair, in the chases of Liverpool and City, in 18, 19 and 21, 22, I think it was, the pressure was on from day one. Like, honestly, day one, if you drew a game, it was like, oh, that's it. Because they were just that good, especially 18, 19. It was just non-stop. And it felt like it was non-stop from about mid-October onwards. Let's settle into our position here. And then it was just like, right, go. And both teams went, and 99 and 97 points or whatever. 98 and 97 points. Like, the pressure does come on. But, like, I'm a lot of Liverpool fans, I'm reading and going, don't worry about it. Because by fucking the end of April, there won't be any pressure. That's how, and that's not, I don't think that's Liverpool fans being, up on a high horse and a bit arrogant. I don't think it is. They just look at this. I feel like it's a fan base really with this football team, and it is at where we are as opposed to where we thought we might be and what's in front of us. And I think that might be the biggest thing where, and this is why I keep going back to pressure on Arsenal. Arsenal feel like we've gone whatever amount of points 2 seasons ago. We done 89 last year, which would be laughed out of the fucking room between Liverpool and Man City, you know, when they're at that peak. But that's the way the league went, you know. But it's like, they're like, oh, we done this, and now we have to go on and do it. But you have to go on and do this, and you have to do this, and it's like, and I think they've created their own fucking thing, because if they draw a game, it's like, oh, the world's against us, you know, fucking whatever, and it's conspiracy after conspiracy and theory and everything. Where Liverpool are like, oh, we lost the Forest, we weren't really that good, you know. Arne Slot was probably a bit naive there, and we just go on to the next one, you know, the sort of way. But it feels like when Arsenal lose or draw, and it's. Maybe maybe I'm taking the pressure side or element of it from what they do to themselves, whereas we just feel like we're having a lovely time here.
Yeah, I think in terms of the pressure on the players and the pressure that the players in the two squads would be feeling, I don't know if it certainly doesn't look like our players are showing any sign of pressure. Like, to have those 2 consecutive draws back to back, and then we come out in the next match and it's like it never happened, and we keep going. And we've seen it from the first game week of the season, how tightly wound the Arsenal players are. Like, they know that the pressure is on them. They would have had those conversations in their dressing room. Their leadership group would have been there at the start of the season saying, this is our year. This is the year we go and win the league. And then they're not where they would have assumed they would be. And so I think there's a lot of self-inflicted pressure from the Arsenal team on the Arsenal team to be the champions this season, because this is their opportunity. Like, you don't know. We could go on and be the dominant team for the next 3 years. City could get off scot-free on all their charges, spend £700 million in the summer, and come back like an absolute dynamo for another 5 years. You know, Chelsea's project could just click like that. You don't know. The pressure from the Arsenal players has to be massive on themselves to step up. And we look like we're just having a great time. Like, It really looks like our players are playing with no obligation. Like, there's no albatross hanging around their necks. This might change if the lead is only 6 points with 6 matches to go, sort of thing, when we get into that April time, when you can start talking about bottling. Like, nobody bottles anything less than halfway through a season. Like, you just don't. There's too many games to play. But if we're up 9 points with 5 games to go and we don't win the league, yeah, that's a colossal bottling. But
yeah, you see, I'm not a big fan of the word bottling anyway. I think,
choke is the word. Choke is the word.
Yeah, maybe choke is the word, but sometimes, look, things just happen in games of football. And don't get me wrong, like, if you'll see a team that could be up the top of the league and they go out and they hop off another team, and it's still 0-0 on 85, and they're trying to get that goal, and somehow the team go up and score, and it's like, oh, look, they bottled that, and you're like, well, I'm not sure they did. Like, they missed some chances. The keeper had made a great, it's all relevant when you watch a game. If I see a team missing 5 open goals and then conceding concede from the one shot they concede down the other end, you're kind of going, well, that's a bit bleeding well. But I'm not a huge fan of it. And look, when it comes to the pressure thing, and this isn't, like I said, I'm enjoying all the games. I'm loving the fact that Liverpool are winning loads and loads of games. I'm loving the fact that we are definitely ahead of where we should be. And I think maybe what's kind of solidified that with me and made me think the pressures on Arsenal and stuff is because the narratives around Liverpool, as soon as Klopp makes his speech on the pitch in the last game of the season last season, was, that'll be good, that'll be them now. There'll be a huge drop off with Klopp. If you look at the squad's legs fell off, that they haven't got the head for it, they haven't got the mental capacity for it, they haven't got whatever for it. And it was like, okay, Liverpool didn't win the league. Let's tell everybody why they didn't win it. And these aren't people like, that have ever played the game of football. They're knobheads on the internet that sit there and pass their opinion off as absolute fact, and they're embarrassing to fucking watch, to be fair. No, you don't. You see, what'll happen is you'll give an opinion, and I'll give an opinion, don't get me wrong, and I'll stand by it, and sometimes I'll say I'm wrong. But when people sit there and put their opinion across, this is exactly what's going to happen. It annoys me. But what you've seen is like, oh, they're not this, they're not that, they've lost this, no Klopp, they'll drop off, you won't see them. And then as Liverpool start playing, it was They haven't played anybody. That was the cracker. And then I went on to, well, he's inherited a really good squad. Oh, yeah, is that right? Well, the really good squad 8 weeks ago, you're telling us, hadn't got the head for winning the league and will have a severe drop-off. So don't give me that argument now. And it's like they've dug a hole for themselves, if you know what I mean. So by digging that hole with regards to Liverpool, they've piled it onto somebody else at the same time. And this is why I keep saying, just keep fucking enjoying it. And if I'm a Liverpool player, I'm a Liverpool manager or staff member, just keep enjoying it, because that's what'll get you home. 100%. If you get dragged into all the shit that goes on around the media and stuff, people just saying stuff for the sake of saying stuff, that's when it can get to annoy you. But right now, I think Liverpool should be just enjoying it. They're 6 points clear with a game in hand. That game in hand comes on Sunday. One of 2 games in hand really comes on Sunday, and just keep winning your games. But these next 4, Liverpool win these next 4, there's no way they're not winning the title. It's as simple as that.
It feels like we've said that a few times, though.
No, you see, the reason being is because if you beat United, it sets out a marker for anyone. Regardless of how bad United are, you've gone and you've put United to the sword. Yeah. You've set out a marker. Brentford away is a difficult one, right? They've won, I think they might have the second best home record in the league this season, right? And they've been beaten tonight by Arsenal. Apparently their keeper was shy. I didn't see much of it. Fine, right? You have Forest away, who will set up like an away side. So if you can go and deal with them, and then you have Ipswich. Then you're down to 15 games to go. At least a 9-point lead. Let's be true on it. At least a 9-point lead with 15 games to go. There's no way Liverpool aren't winning that title. And I can say that now, and people can clip me up and do what the fuck we want. In my opinion, there is no way. There's no way Liverpool don't win the title if they win the next 4 games. It's just not happening. Because, you can say, we have to play Arsenal, but they have to play us. Yeah, that's not 3 points for Arsenal. We have to go to Chelsea. Fair enough. No problem going to Chelsea. You have to go to City. No problem. Right? Well, but Spurs have to come to us. Arsenal have to come to us. United are about to come to us. We have to play Everton home and away. Fine. No problem. But you can list away games that might be problematic, but we've a load of home games where you go, what about Newcastle? We have to play Newcastle at home. There's loads of games, but half of them are about away and half of them are at home. And I think
funny how the schedule works.
It is funny how it works. But honest to God, if they win the next 4, forget about it, because it's at least a 9-point lead, and I think it's more than that. And I think you'll be into a period of the season then where teams around you, i.e. Arsenal, will be looking at possibly a League Cup final, and they will be looking at the Champions League and making a big dent in that. And I think that's what might save their season, is a really good run in the Champions League. Anything else you want to talk about before we move on to the dreaded contracts?
No. I mean, it's like a Band-Aid. Let's just rip it off and talk about these stupid contracts. Like, can we end... Like, it's the 1st of January. There's another 30 days of stupid transfer window. Just not looking forward to it at all. It's so boring.
So, on the contracts, right? And I know a lot of people that work for this channel are like, do we have to fucking talk about these things? Because we're not the same as...
You do. I mean, you do.
Well, yeah, you do have to talk about them, but we're probably not the same as an awful lot of channels that like just transfer window and contracts, and we just fucking lash about them for 30 days, and loads of people will, listen to what we're saying or come on and fucking give their bit. We're a bit different. We're kind of going, Jesus, could we not fucking do something here and just get this out of the fucking way? I think there's more important things to be worrying about, like the football. But I did put out a poll, right? With just on Trent. I put out earlier on, and I just said, do people feel he's signing a new deal, leave on a free, or leave in January? There was, as of now, I think it might be finished. 65% believe he'll leave on a free. 25% believe he'll sign a new deal, and 10% believe he will leave in January. It's still ongoing at the moment. I'll come back to it at the end. But I want to look at this from both sides, Matt. Right, and I am seeing differing views, right, on. Let's talk about Trent first, because the other two kind of feel like they're in the same boat and they're a different thing to Trent, and I agree. I think they're completely different contract negotiations. Trent as opposed to the other two lads, right? And I've seen people going, well, if he wants to leave, tell him to fuck off. You know, Real Madrid aren't making that bid unless Trent tells them to. Blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, yeah, but I'd agree with that sentiment. But I still go back to the fact that 7 days ago, it was being reported everywhere. Liverpool are offering Trent an updated fucking terms on his contract out. They're hoping to get this done. Boom, 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 boom. That was 7 days ago. 4 days ago, it was like, no, Real Madrid want Trent. You know, boom, all this sort of shit, and they're all kicked off. Then he's doing this celebration, which I don't know what it means. You can make anything up. And now it's like, oh, they've made a bid. They want him in January. Liverpool have said no. Clearly, Trent has told Real Madrid to make this bid. So, you know, for whatever reason. Like, Matt, when all's said and done, Real Madrid, you know, according to Paul Joyce, have made a bid for Trent Alexander-Arnold to buy him in January. Okay. Apparently, a second bid is coming, according to Paul Joyce as well. Thanks to Tom in the chat telling us that. But nothing's happened. And, you know, let's be honest with it, if this was a player that was 3 years left on his deal and Real Madrid were coming in and trying to rock a boat, right? Or like Barcelona used to do with, say, Coutinho and stuff like that, we'd be all like, look at them storing this in the media and making this shit up in the media to unsettle players. And as soon as it's a player that's out of contract in 6 months, it's like, well, he's clearly behind the whole thing. Like, are we gone that far that way? Are you gone that far that way? What's your feeling on it? Because my thing on it is, without slating the guy or, you know, fully endorsing Trent or slating him, I'm kind of going, we see this all the time for Real Madrid, regardless of what player has 6 months left, 18 months left, 3 years left, just signed a new deal. If Real Madrid want a player, they will do their utmost, whether the fucking player likes it or not, to rock any boat they possibly can. And it doesn't have to be the player that says, oh, here, you go and do that. But on the other side, you could make up different arguments, which I'll get back to in a minute. We play devil's advocate. Where are you on it?
I'm very bored by it all. I'm very calm. I know we've kind of put the other two to the side, but I'm very confident that Virgil van Dijk and Mo Salah are signing new contracts. There's just something in my marrow that it just feels right. Like, we're not getting the Remy Abbas circus on Twitter, you know, Mo's agent, you know, stirring shit up. So it's just down to the Trent stuff, and it's all getting a little bit boring because it's so obvious that, oh, I don't play my contract out in public, and then you get the drips from different mouthpieces, whether it's from Liverpool or from the entire Spanish media industrial complex that are behind Real Madrid. Nobody knows anything. So everybody's just rampantly speculating about, what does this mean? Like, I'm pretty sure that is American Sign Language for the letter H. I don't know what does H mean, Trent? Like, nobody knows what's going to happen. But the thing because there was a very lively discussion about Trent yesterday in our members Telegram group, and I was spending the day, you know, finishing seeing family and traveling and whatnot, and I look and there's like 300, 400 messages. You're like, what's going on? And it's just people talking about Trent. That's a lot of talk for, like, was there news? And it's like, oh no, you know, like, apparently Liverpool turned a bid down from Real Madrid. And like you said, that's just typical Real Madrid. Like, I don't know what happened to the rules against tapping up players, because that kind of feels like tapping up a player, but apparently that's not a thing anymore. I don't see a world where we sell Trent Alexander-Arnold. Like, I think the 10% in that poll is just Kev just voting, reloading, and reloading, because Kev wants to sell Trent immediately and get any sort of money from him. But I was thinking about it, seeing a lot of people, like, one of the arguments about the people that are making their peace with Trent potentially leaving on a free. I think he's going to leave on a free in the summer. I would love to see him stay. That's my opinion on it. I think he's going to go. I would love for him to stay. But if he doesn't want to stay, like the super chat you got there from Larry Sarpong, says, I'm not interested in any player that don't want to stay. Trent can go, get lost in Madrid. I want players who want to stay at Liverpool, like Virgil and Mo Salah. That's the same thing for me. If you don't want to play for Liverpool, then get out.
But here's my thing on it, right? Trent Alexander-Arnold could sign a contract for Real Madrid today.
Yep.
He could have woken up this morning, rang his agent and said, get Real Madrid around to the house, I'm signing that deal now. right? Yeah. And he hasn't, right? And people are saying, oh, Real Madrid need a right back. Real Madrid lost Carvajal, right? And immediately gave him a 1 year extension on his deal because he's going to come back as Real Madrid right back. They're going to deal with their right back situation, right, for the season, and then they will have Danny Carvajal back, right? Now, Danny Carvajal is not getting any, any fucking younger, right? And maybe they see Trent Alexander-Arnold as the, heir to that throne, right, at right back, which it is a throne at Real Madrid, believe it or not. As much as all the Galacticos go, right back at Real Madrid is a big fucking deal. And, like people are saying, like, look, here's the two arguments to it, especially with this supposed transfer bid, which, if you go off Paul Joyce, it has happened. Real Madrid have come to Liverpool and said, we will buy Trent Alexander-Arnold for 20 million quid. Right? And Liverpool have emphatically, as the word used, said no. Under no circumstances. No. Right? You could look at it as Trent saying, listen, put the bid in. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, I go in the summer and my get out of jail free card is Liverpool could have made 20 to 30 million pounds on me and decided not to. That's the one way you can look at it. Right? And the second way you can look at it is that Real Madrid are going, this fella hasn't fucking come to us to sign a fucking deal. Right? We're going to have to push the boat here. And the only way we think we might actually get him now is to pay for him. Because they might be concerned, right? That they might be concerned that Trent Alexander-Arnold hasn't made any decision on his future and is possibly leaning towards signing a deal with Liverpool. Carl says sources in Madrid suggested they are willing to try again with an official bid, and it's understood they will be prepared to around 20 million to sign Alexander-Arnold now. That's apparently was the bid. Was the bid a couple of days ago, whatever it might have been. But if Trent Alexander-Arnold wants to go to Real Madrid, right, he can sign a deal today. He can sign it today.
He can't go. He has to stay at Liverpool until the summer.
But the thing is, right, unless Real Madrid aren't going to say to him, we'll sign you in the summer. Or they're not going to come down and go, listen, you push that, you kind of push that deal through now. We want you in January, or you're not coming at all. That makes no sense to them. Because Trent Alexander-Arnold doesn't put pen to paper on a deal with Liverpool, and they give him that ultimatum in January, and he says, no, I'm not pushing that onto Liverpool. He'll go wherever he wants. And Real Madrid will miss out on supposedly their prime transfer target for the summer for the sake of them trying to spend 20 million quid more. It doesn't make any sense. And this is me trying to play devil's advocate here, because Trent did say he didn't want to play it out in public, but as soon as right, all of this stuff comes out. Of course, it's from market. We know how this works. But as soon as that comes out, all of a sudden it's, Trent's doing all that. But we don't know that Trent is doing all that. I'm not saying he isn't. I'm not saying he isn't, right? But we don't know he is. But we're presuming now that Trent's behind it. He's telling them to make the bid. He's telling them to make the bid. So that's his fucking, that's his way out. If anyone questions his loyalty to Liverpool, they turn down money. They let me go for free in the end. Like, the only thing that, and I have to talk about it because I'm a podcast host, right? I'm at the stage where I kind of go, listen, if they win the fucking league, I don't give a fuck who lives. You know what I mean? Bingo. I was trying to explain this to my daughter the other day. I was like I'm mid-40s. I'm a man in his mid-40s, more or less now. I've seen brilliant players leave Liverpool, right, for decades. And I'm still sitting here in 2024 going, I think we could win this league. You know what I mean? So things do happen in that instant where you're like, fuck this. But most of the time, it gets better. Sometimes it takes longer than other times, but it does, you get yourself back on an even keel.
It doesn't matter. Like, at the end of the day, that's the most important thing. And it was a realization I had a long time ago. Like, probably when Torres left and being just gutted, and then, you get Suarez agitating to leave and just feeling like betrayed, of being like, man, at most these guys are going to play, 18, 19 seasons at absolute most. Mm-hmm. You might know a player like Trent if, you see him when they're 16 or something like that. You might get 20 years out of a player. I'm going to be a Liverpool fan for, hopefully another 40, 50, 60 years. All these players are going to be consigned to the history books and, nostalgic conversations with other Liverpool fans or being like, oh, you have no idea how good Bobby Firmino was in another 20 years. That's how we'll be talking about all these players. So at the end of the day, the club comes before everything else. But when you were talking there about the transfer bid for me is the strangest twist in this Trent thing. I did not see it coming because it is not how Real Madrid have worked lately. Real Madrid are a full-on, hey, you want to come and play for us. You want to wear the famous white jersey. You want to potentially win the Champions League every year, every other year. Come to us, run your contract down. We'll give you a fat signing bonus, a nice big wage packet. You come to us to on a free so we don't have to spend the transfer money. That's, I believe, what all of us were expecting how this was going to play out. Pre-contract agreement in January or nothing until the end of the season, but he was going to go on a free. And so for it to be reported by legitimate sources like Joyce in the Times and saying they're coming back in with another one of like, this is unexpected for me. And I think one thing it does is it really puts the PR ball, like it's the PR game is now more in Liverpool, the club's favor, because if Trent wants to go in January, I think they would basically force him to say, you need to come out publicly and say, I want to leave in January. Like, Trent, you need to come out and say, I want to leave Liverpool in January. When we're on the cusp of winning our 20th league title, him, winning his second league title with his boyhood club, equaling that Manchester United record, which he has some feeling about being a lifelong, hometown Liverpool fan. That he would want to be part of that team that gets us back onto our perch. Make him come out and say that. So, like, the chat comments, like, it's Sam Tandy's one of the people. There's a few people in there going like, Real Madrid might be just kind of shitting their kecks a little bit here that they're going to get Zubamendi'd, where they thought they had an agreement with the player, and then all of a sudden, in the 11th hour, he just goes, actually, no, I'm going to re-sign with Liverpool. Like, it's still a possibility, and that's why I see a lot of people kind of going over the top. Thank God I'm not on Twitter, where everybody's opinions just have to be cranked up to 100, of, like, people talking about booing him. You're going to end up with idiots outside the stadium burning a pile of Trent shirts soon. And it's like, the guy could still be staying. He could sign a 5-year contract extension, and you're going to look like a fucking idiot then.
But you see, Sam says there, right? He says, I think by Joyce saying LFC have had no indication Trent wants to leave, is putting the ball in Trent's court now. If you want to leave, say it now, or sign a new contract. Simple. And that's another angle to look at it from. Like, we're looking at it from a Madrid angle, we're looking at it from a Trent angle. Are they, is one allowing the other to fucking pull the strings here? But from a Liverpool point of view, Liverpool have basically said no to Real Madrid. That's it, no. So now Trent has to come out and either sign a new deal with Liverpool, right, or do nothing, right, which lets it drag on and drag on. I don't think that's in his interest, to be fair, right, or he signs a new deal. He signs a new deal, he lets this run, or he signs a pre-contract with Real Madrid. You know what I mean? And even beyond all of this happening, or supposedly happening, this is reported here and this is reported there, nobody knows where they stand. But Liverpool, by Joyce saying they've emphatically said no to an inquiry by Real Madrid to sign the player in January, Liverpool have basically said, we have no intention of selling Trent. None. And if Joyce is putting it out there that Liverpool have had no indication from Trent that he wants to leave, okay, now it's a case of, well, are you signing this deal or are you not? And I think you're right. I think it's back in the player's court. But I don't think it makes Real Madrid look great in all of this. Now, that's not a hard thing to do, to make Real Madrid look like a pack of pricks. But what I'm saying is, in all this, if you take it on face value, the player has said nothing and has said nothing about this contract negotiation at any stage, right? To the point where he's told people he's doing interviews with not to ask him about it, right? And we know that's happened, right? He said nothing. The club have said nothing, bar saying we've had an inquiry and said no. Real Madrid have put it out that, they want him. He's going to sign. He's torn down X amount of deals by Liverpool. He's going to sign for Real Madrid. He's going to sign a pre-contract agreement. Now Real Madrid are saying, we can get him in summer, but let's throw another 20 million on it. You know what I mean? So
it could just be the fact that Real Madrid want to win the La Liga this year. That they look at the pack of teams in this new Champions League format and think, we're Real Madrid. Like, we want to win number 16 this year. We need a right back. The same sort of thing that like when people play up just the hypothetical of like, well, what would happen if we were to sell Trent in January? And it's like, well, you can't sell him until you get his replacement in. Who's his replacement? Like, well, it was probably something you were planning for the summer. Well, you just bring it forward. Well, Real Madrid's plan for the summer was Trent Alexander-Arnold. And if their needs have changed to the point where they need to move their plans forward, that might be why the bid is there. But it brings me on to the other thing that I've come up with this, and it's people being like, if Trent wants to leave, Trent can leave. He doesn't owe the club anything. And it's like, I get what you're trying to say, and I'm going to be a little bit semantic or pedantic about it. He does owe the club something. He owes the club another 6 months of work. And in that 6 months of work, are we more likely or less likely to win the league if we have Trent Alexander-Arnold in our team? I think it's pretty obvious we're more likely to win the league if we have Trent Alexander-Arnold. Like, are we more or less likely to not win the league if we sell Trent or keep Trent? I think we're more likely to not win the league if we sell Trent and have to rely on Connor Bradley, Joe Gomez, or whoever this, because I don't even know who we bring in as a right back replacement for Trent. Like, it's not really a position that we've been thinking about in terms of like hypothetical transfers and stuff like that. I think no matter what, whether he leaves or whether he signs another contract, Trent needs to stay on this team because we're in a better position to lift the title at the end of the season if Trent's playing right back for us. And it's as simple as that. And if he doesn't want to go, he can deal with the media fallout from that, because I'm still going to be a Liverpool fan. You know, it's not like these kids these days that just follow players around and go from team to team following a certain player. That's not how I do sports.
Yeah, you see, I think behind it all, right, and we'll get on to Van Dijk and Salah in a minute. I think behind it all, for me anyway, is I'm not at ease with any of those players leaving Liverpool, because I think they're three brilliant players for Liverpool, right? And they're at different stages of their career, and we all know that. My biggest thing behind all this is what disruption it would have to Liverpool as a footballing team between now and the 25th of May, I think is the last day of the season. That's all I care about. And genuinely, that's all I care about. And look, are the players in the club in a no-win situation really? You know, if the only way everyone wins in this, if the three players come out tomorrow and say we're all staying in Liverpool, we've all signed fucking extensions. Yay, everyone, right, all aboard the bus, and we rocket on towards, you know, the 1st of June is the Champions League final, I think. You know, and we all look at that as our last day of the season, but you know, the week before is the end of, end of the Premier League season. That's the only way everyone comes out a winner in this. I think if you've won two or even one of them, you know, that hasn't signed a deal, and Liverpool are playing games of football in a season where we're trying to win a league title, let's be fair. We know how this goes. One bad result, one mistake by any of those three players. Salah misses a chance, Van Dijk gives away a penalty, or Trent sticks it in his own net. It's all going to be, look, if he'd fucking signed a deal, he would have been more concentrated. He doesn't give a You know how this rolls, right? We know how the world works. And that's my only issue here, is the disruption it may bring to the footballing side of things. Now, having said that, I think they've dealt really, really well with it up to now. Arne Slot and anyone else that's been asked questions about it, but we're in a different part of it now. We're in a different, you know, this is the next area of this saga, if you want, because now we're into them three lads can sign for a foreign team tomorrow. They can sign a pre-contract with a foreign team tomorrow, and nobody can do anything about it. Virgil van Dijk can walk out of training tomorrow, go to his agent's gaff and sign for Borussia Dortmund. And nobody can do anything. He doesn't even have to tell Liverpool he's doing it. He just goes and signs it, and the papers are put through. And this is where my only concern comes from. And people think, oh, you know, I'm with you on Salah and I'm with you on Van Dijk. I'm more confident in them because there's less murmurings going on. Maybe a bit more on Salah because just the form he's in and stuff. But I think they'd be something that I wouldn't be surprised if they are, if they're sort of great. If they're not, I think that might be something where one or two of them might turn and go, listen, forget about it. The end of the season, we let everyone know what's going on. But we're fully committed. We're going to sit down at the end of the season and decide our futures. That's it. Line under it. Forget it. We're trying to win a title. But then it'd still leave Trent out there on his own, right? And if Trent signed a deal tomorrow and Mo Salah signed a deal tomorrow, it would leave Virgil on his own. And no matter it doesn't matter really whether it's one or it's three, right? Whether we're unsure on one or, you know, if two of them sign, any two, the other one is just going to be ramped up, and the spaces left by these two lads in the media will be filled with just all of the stuff around this fella for as long as it goes until something's decided, and that's where that's where my concern is over it. It's, as I said, if we win a league, they can do what they like. I don't
All's
care.
good, baby. Yeah,
Right?
that's all I want. That's all I want.
But it's, for me now, it's going to be daily disruption, non-fucking stop.
Yeah, it's the flip side of that. Just listen to you kind of lay the argument out like that, because it's always better hearing it as opposed to reading it for me, at least. Is it tells me that the relationship between the club and Trent's camp hasn't gone sour. Because if it had gone sour, I think you'd see a few more dirty tactics being played out in the media. Like you'd see, sources close to, Liverpool management say that, Trent Alexander-Arnold is agitating for a move in January, sort of thing. Or you'd see them, this is obviously hypothetical, that if Virgil and Mo's contracts are done, you'd see Liverpool announce those and go, ask all your questions to Trent. You don't need to ask the questions to Virgil in the hot zone or try to get Mo Salah to stop for a media interview. It's entirely on Trent, and it puts all that pressure on him. They haven't done that. They've kind of handled all three contracts the same way, flat back defensive, answers in the media. I mean, the one of Arne Slot, he couldn't have teed that reporter up anymore for an easy joke, and that fucking reporter just absolutely whiffed on it, where he's like, why don't I ask you the question? And the reporter just completely doesn't get Slot's joke. Arne Slot is brilliant. It feels like there's still a path there. Like it feels like the club haven't given up on Trent, and Trent hasn't given up on the club. Like it's not an ugly saga that's playing out. It's just drawn out, and because all of us, if you're here watching us, odds are you kind of consume a lot of Liverpool content. So you're surrounded with it a lot more than anybody else probably is. It's another narrative for the media to drum up because they have to find something that's going wrong with us. Even when we win 5-0, it takes about 2 minutes in the post-game show. And they're like, well, what about those contracts? Like, we didn't have these contracts to talk about. They just have to wax lyrical about us. And I would absolutely love that. But it'll be interesting to see if there's a change in the dynamic. Like if we get the other two contracts announced, if the club, starts leaking things out through their mouthpieces in the press and putting a little bit more pressure on Trent to see if that changes. But like, as long as it doesn't, I don't see Trent doesn't strike me as the type of guy to down tools. Like, yeah, you say that, Bellingham kind of forced his way out of, or not forced his way out, but like down tools towards the end of his Dortmund time because he didn't want to get hurt before going to Real Madrid. I don't see Trent doing that. Like, as much as his body language and attitude can be shitty out on the pitch at times, other times it can be great. He comes on against Newcastle and he helps turn that game around in the second half for us, and he's playing like the Trent that we all expect him to. So it's just, we don't have enough information. Like, people are jumping to conclusions because that's what you're supposed to do when you're on social media or on YouTube and stuff like that. But like, we just don't know. And until we get something, that's from a blue tick at LFC account giving us actual news, we're just here speculating and playing into the hands of tabloid magazines coming out of Spain like Marca and AS and all that.
Yeah, like, it's, you see, my thing on this is you've teed me up a little bit here, and what you're saying is dead right. But I think it's another example of how I could twist something you've said in two directions and be very, very it can be very plausible. So you said there, look, the fact that he's here and nothing's being said between Trent and the club shows that the communication hasn't broken down, dirty tactics, wherever it might be, right? And I fully agree with you. But if I wanted to turn that in two different directions, I could say to you, well, who's behind this apparent bid by Real Madrid? Who's pushing for Real Madrid to try to get him out of the club now? Is it Trent? And you could say, geez, that's not a bad idea. And then I could turn around and go, well, Trent knows nothing about this. Real Madrid now are trying to, have their cake and eat it. And they feel like they can just not only take our player that's out of contract, but we're going to give you a fucking paltry amount of money, let's be honest about it, and take him now off you with 6 months to go in a big season for you. I could look at it that way, right? I could also look at the club going, we're comfortable where we are. He hasn't gone and signed a deal with Real Madrid or anybody else because the club are still confident that there's talks going on and he wants to do it. Or I could turn around and say, well, Trent is probably letting this run because the longer it runs, he probably come out looking better for it because, everyone would presume Trent was, didn't sign a deal with Real Madrid because he wanted to negotiate with Liverpool. He left that there. He could have done it on January the 4th, but he still hadn't done it by January the 30th or February the 10th or whatever it might be. And Trent could come out looking the better at the other end, and all of a sudden the club are the problem. And you can push this any way you want, and for it to be plausible. I actually agree with what you're saying, but I'm just showing you the way anything can be molded into whatever way people want to think. My thing on it here is that you can bang on about the club and people are in the chat, and whether you agree with them or you don't agree with them. My thing on this is that the club have handled this appallingly. That's my opinion. I think they've handled it appallingly, right? I think the club should have went in and went, listen, what do you want? From Trent and from the other two, and said, what do you want? What is it you want? And I want to know. Yeah, you talk to them in June, right? And you say, what do you want? And they say, I want this, this, and this. And you go, right, well, we're not doing that. So I'll tell you what we do. Let's make it simple here. They all want 300 grand a week, just for argument's sake. We'll do 250. We're willing to do 250, but I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll do 275, rising to a possibly 290, 285, but with different things are met. We're not going up to what you want, 300 grand. We're just not doing it. And the player either comes back and says, okay, and we get it done, or the player says, no. And the club go, done. That's the end of it. We are not going any higher than that. As far as we're concerned, it's done. And the club should have done that. The club should have done that. And people say, no, you can't do that. You have to fucking try your best. If you've tried your best, you're still on the 4th of January. You've still left yourself in a position where those players can live. Whether you like the player, don't like the player, think the player's trying to fucking manoeuvre something. At the end of the day, the player doesn't have to try to fuck all now. The player can sit there and go, you can throw anything you want on me. But at the end of the day, I'm holding all the cards. And I think 40-year-old is saying Salah's already on 350. I understand that. I was just giving 300 as an example of, don't worry about it. And that's where I think the club has handled it appallingly. Because at the end of the day, they are 3 of your biggest players. They're probably in 3 of your top 5 players, I would say. And we're sitting here in the 4th of January and they can sign for foreign clubs at any minute. And Liverpool are still sitting there with them. And that's where a problem is. Now, people would bang on about Richard Hughes and,
he's on vacation right now, Gav. Did you know that?
So what?
It's just so funny that people are just like, well, he doesn't have a phone. He's completely uncontactable. Like, how are we supposed to get any work done?
Yeah, but hold on a minute. Let me ask you something, right? Do you think you're entitled to time off over Christmas?
No, of course I am. Yeah, I think it's absolutely silly that people that are upset.
You were entitled to time off. Are we at the stage now where Richard Hughes is not allowed to have any days off in Liverpool Football Club? And not only that, do you think Richard Hughes is just put on the out of office email and any issues whatsoever with Liverpool Football Club will be dealt with when I return on the 5th of January? Yeah, it's not how it works.
He takes his cell phone, he puts it in the drawer of his desk, and he's like, and I'm off to Italy for 2 weeks. No work.
Like Jono says, Richard Hughes has been on vacation since he got the job. That's just absolute nonsense. Jono, you're hurting, buddy. You're hurting. You need to, like Mitch says, Jono, you need to stop. You probably do. You know what I mean? People, like, literally people, like, hold on a minute. But hold on a minute. Hold on. When it comes to these 3 contracts, right? Do you think Richard Hughes having a few days off annual leave has any bearing on these contracts? They simply don't. It just doesn't happen. People think Richard Hughes runs this football club on his own. He doesn't. He's about fucking 750 people working for him all the time, right? All the time. And, like, do you think if Richard Hughes said, do you know what, Mo Salah's agent, I have the money to pay you what you want. And Mo Salah's agent went, well, listen, it's Christmas. We're kind of off for a week. Well, the deal's dead then. If you don't come out of a holiday, the deal's dead. It's not how it works. It's not how it works. It's just, and this is where, and do you know what? I'm going back to you at the start of this where you went, oh, there's 30 more days of this fucking bullshit. This is the sort of shit. This is the sort of shit that goes on. Like, People,
In this show, it's like, is it not the 5th at least? Like, have we not been talking about this for a week now? But just
we need
to
to
other
stop. We
ones,
need to stop getting into the logistics of what a sporting director or a football agent does or doesn't do day to day, or what happens if they have a day off. Like, we need to stop this. Do you know what I mean? But I will say, hold on.
Like,
Jono's done a passive aggressive thing. Hold on, I want to read it. He said, "I'm sorry for being pissed off. The three of our best players could leave in the summer. Maybe some fans are looking forward to going back to Roy Hodgson days. I'm not." Jono, a lot of people are pissed off at the fact that these three players could leave in the summer, right? And a lot of fans would never like to go back to the Roy Hodgson days. But the fact that you're putting this club where it sits right now, right, back to Roy Hodgson days of stuff based on three players possibly leaving a football club, well, I tell you something, the football club must be fucking built on not even sand. That's the truth. Okay? The Roy Hodgson days, Jono, if you want to go back and talk about them, I'm quite open to talking to them about them with you, right, is fucking light years away from where this football club is now. I'm not happy with the possibility of these three players leaving. I'm hopeful that three will stay. I'm very hopeful two will stay, right? But all I'm saying is that if you believe that three players of any magnitude leaving this football club will put Liverpool back in the Roy Hodgson days of stuff, John, I don't know what to say to you. I really, really don't. John, he says, a sport director who doesn't get contracts done and doesn't make signings. I'd love to know a director who gets away with that. So, a sporting director who doesn't get contracts done, then players have to sign contracts, John. And the fact that those players still haven't, to this day, said, I will not be playing for Liverpool, right, should not be a slight on anyone at the football club. It's actually a little bit miraculous that these three players, rated this highly, haven't been absolutely blown away to be signing a deal with somebody in the 4th of January. Then players have to sign them. I agree with you that the club shouldn't have let it get this far, but the club probably haven't got the club have probably let it get this far by not being ruthless enough in terms of saying to the players, do you want to sign? There's the deal. No, well then fuck off. Right? They've probably been too nice to the players and too accommodating to the players for good reason. Sometimes because of who they are and what they've done for the football club, right? And in terms of signing nobody, they signed the player. They signed the player. Whether you like it or not, they did sign a player, right? But your manager, right, who's doing a fantastic fucking job, has told you from the time the transfer window opened to the closed, to between then and now, that he loves the squad he has. He's delighted by the squad he has. And he's also come out in the last week and said, yeah, we might not. I'm delighted with what I have. Why can't we just believe this person when he says this? The fucker is top of the Premier League. He's top of the Champions League. He's lost one game in about 40 games for Liverpool, right? And we're all meant to sit here going, well, who's he signing? And we're kind of going, nobody. Because he doesn't fucking want to. And if he doesn't want to and he wins the league, what are we meant to say? Well, the league was great, but didn't sign anybody. Well, what the fuck does that mean? And if we don't win the league and you go, well, he didn't sign anybody, you go, right, fair enough. But that's the risk he took. And that's why he's doing that job. Because they're the risks he wants to take and they're the choices he wants to make. And I'm sorry. I have a problem. I have a problem with the Liverpool ownership and the way they've dealt with these contracts. I have an issue with it. I've 100, and that's where I stand with Jono. I've 100% got an issue with it. But I'm not going down this route of, well, fucking FSG and Richard Hughes and this. It's all fucking nonsense, right? It's nonsense because what we keep doing now is we keep pigeonholing arguments into who's going to have a go at this fella and who's going to have a go at that fella, and let's pick sides. And before you know it, by the end of January, it'll be like Arne Slot doesn't like Richard Hughes anymore. And we don't know that. We don't, and it's not. There hasn't been a single ounce of fucking truth in that sort of narrative being put out there. But we all seem to have to go back to that. And this is why I wanted to say at the start of it, you go on a devil's advocate sort of thing. Can I put an argument forward to this? Yes. Can I put an argument forward for that? Yes. But all this whataboutery, please. And Jono, I really respect you as a person that comes in here and speaks their mind. I really do. And you stick to it. And I've nothing but admiration for that. But when you say something like that, Jono, I have to pull you up in a boat. I'm really fucking sorry. I'm really sorry that I have to. But, like, you can have issues. But Richard Hughes' track record or whatever he's done in the last 6 months, you have to take into consideration what the manager wants and what the manager's telling you. And we just keep going on like our managers are lawyers. You know what I mean?
You know, there's a comment there from Brian O'Halloran. I'm not sure who he's responding to, but he says 100%. If someone isn't signing a new contract with 24 months left,
sorry. Just one more thing. Antwango says, Gav, you were saying the PGL weren't corrupt as well. Refused to say corrupt. Antwango, I hate the fucking PGMOL. So why the fuck are you bringing that up? Why are you bringing that up? Like, I don't know. Maybe
you're PGMOL in, Gav. Everybody knows you love the refs.
But hold on a minute. We're having a discussion here about Liverpool and contracts and sporting directors and managers and fucking days in lieu and whatever the fuck else is going on. And Antwango decides to go on about the PGMOL. Like, I don't know. Is he fucking winding me up? I fucking hate them. I hate them. But there's nothing got to do with the thing of what we're talking about. Anyway, sorry. Go on. What are you saying?
Sorry, yeah. So what Brian O'Halloran's saying, 24 months left on a player's contract, they're not re-signing. It's suspicious. 12 months left and it's alarm bells and we've got to sell. If you take that thinking, Mo Salah doesn't play for us anymore. And that sounds fucking terrible because we are a much worse team. We are much closer to where we thought we'd be or where rival fans thought we'd be in this season if we don't have Mo Salah in this team. So I can't subscribe to that. You want to keep your best players. You can't just pay them whatever they want because we do comply with the financial rules, whether they're actually worth the paper they're written on or not. Like, it's not, people think it's just so simple. Like, you just offer him a contract and he signs it. Like, because I wanted to get your take because, I mean, the Trent stuff is the Trent stuff and who knows what the hell's going on with that. But
Anthony Boylan says, Gav, come on, it was hyperbole. We all do it when we're pissed off. Jono said he was pissed off. I'm pissed off. But, and by all means be pissed off, Anthony. But you cannot, I'm sorry. And listen, there's very few things that I'll say that you can't say that. But you cannot fucking compare Roy Hodgson and that Liverpool team and set up an institution of 2009 or 2010 to what this is now and the possibility of losing 3 players. You simply can't because that's a way deeper situation than what you're talking about. You're talking about losing 3 players here. The Hicks Gillette fucking Hodgson time was losing a football club. That's what you're at. Forget about fucking Roy Hodgson, and I can tell you all about it. Forget about the Roy Hodgson after a 3-0 fucking Merseyside derby defeat. Telling you it was their best performance of the season. It wasn't that. That was horrendous. This was way worse than that. Right? That was way worse than what we have now, and it's just not the same thing. You know what I mean? Like Jono says, take those 3 players out of this team and we're 8th in the league. How do you know that? How do you know that? We're not as good. I'll absolutely give you that. And I absolutely have the issue with where it's gone. But we're talking about things that haven't even happened. We're making presumptions on things that haven't even happened. Do you know what I mean? But look, go on. You were going to talk. You were going to say something. I'm getting way too annoyed now for New Year's Day.
It's been great. You got 2025 off to a flyer. If your resolution was don't get mad at things that Jono says in the chat, you failed on day one.
No, I love Jono because I like the way he just speaks his mind. But like Jono will pull me on things I say, and I think Jono would agree that I'm allowed to pull him on things that he writes down. We do it all the time. It like people think I'm going to go off here and go, I fucking hate that Jono fella. Far from it. He'd probably be the highlight of the show for me because he came out and said stuff that he believes in, and I answered it. That's the way it's meant to go.
And then Twango's just over here, just poking you, trying to get more reaction from you.
Yeah, he's just a prick.
In terms of the other 2 contracts, like, I don't know what the holdup is over the Virgil van Dijk one because it seems the easiest one to get done. But like when we were talking about these contracts in the summer and in the first half of the season of like, what do you do with Mo? And it's like, does he take a pay cut? That might have been in the summertime sort of thinking. And then you get about, 8-10 weeks into the season. You're like, well, maybe you offer him the same terms. He's going to get a pay rise. Like he almost has to. The form that he's in. I shared a link to a thing. It's on, if you play Fantasy Premier League, there was an article on there called "Is Mo Salah the best player in the world right now?" And I was like, all right, I'll bite. And I read it, and it was really good. So I put the link to it in our Telegram chat, and I encourage anybody to go and read it because it kind of breaks down the numbers and makes a ironclad case that Mo Salah is the best player in the world right now. Like, he's playing the best football that he's ever played right now. So I'm very comfortable with the situation in terms of Mo's contract because it feels like they're just figuring out what the final number is going to be on his per week thing, whether it's going to be more bonus incentivized and stuff like that. And I mean, the guy just keeps scoring and scoring and scoring and scoring. So if that's the motivation, like a slightly bigger number on the contract, or not slightly bigger, but a bigger number on his weekly wages, if he's driving that number up with the performances that he's having right now, do not get him to sign a contract right now. Tell him we'll sign that contract on the 1st of June. Because if this is what a motivated, like it happens in North American sports a lot when a player is approaching free agency. Like hockey players are really bad for this. The guy's in the final year, he's about to become a free agent, and they just explode. They have this massive season. They put up their best totals they've ever put up. They sign a massive contract, and then they just go back down to their regular level. This is kind of Mo Salah's regular level. Like, it's been 8 years of this, and that article that I referenced earlier, it says, if he keeps the pace he's currently on up, which would be outrageous, it would make him the best player the Premier League's ever seen. If he continues this for another 20 games, it's the best single season that any Premier League player has ever had, full stop, no argument at all. It would put him, I think, 64 goals shy of Alan Shearer for the all-time Premier League goal-scoring lead.
Mm-hmm.
I can't think of many things that Mo Salah would want more than that record. And I think he stays. Like, I think he signs 3 years.
I fully agree with you on the stats and where he is and where he's been, and he's a Liverpool great. But tell me this, why are you convinced Mo Salah will sign a deal, but you're not convinced Trent Alexander-Arnold will? And I'll add Virgil van Dijk in there as well.
It's a good question. The Van Dijk one, I think he'll re-sign. Like, I'm surprised the Van Dijk one wasn't announced months ago. Like, I don't know
why do you think he will?
Because I think he wants to stay. I do think he wants to stay, and I think my answer to your original question is I don't know if Trent wants to stay. I don't actually know. He might want to leave. He might think the grass is greener, or just the water's sweeter, the beer's cheaper, or whatever it is. I get more of that stink off of Trent than I do off of the other two. The other two very much feel to me like they know that they are in the final chapter. This is the denouement of their career.
Almost a completely different situation to Trent Alexander-Arnold.
Not like it would be.
It is. It's their last big contract of the career. Possibly.
Yeah, but people have said that about Trent too.
Well, no, it's not his last big contract. It's his biggest contract of his career.
Yeah.
Not his last biggest. It's his biggest.
But it's going to be Mo's biggest too.
But you see, a lot of people will think, Salah will get done and Virgil will get done because they've been asked questions and they've answered them. Mo has said, no, I haven't been offered a deal. He said that after Old Trafford, I think. He said today, no, we're far away from that. I want to win the league. He said that. Virgil's come out, and I think the most solid kind of quote he's had in it is, we're in discussions. I'm in discussions with the right people, whatever it might be. And he said that. And because those two have said that stuff, they haven't come out and said, I want to stay at Liverpool, I want to get this deal done. They've basically come out and said, no, nothing's changed, or we're in contract talks. People have put all their eggs in that basket. That I think they'll definitely sign. Trent has said from the very start he will not have this play out in public. Okay? And that doesn't mean that he wants to stay. It doesn't mean that he wants to go. But it does allow people to put way less confidence in him signing a deal as opposed to the other two lads. Because the other two lads have come out and said, oh yeah, no, we're in talks. And it's quite clear they're all in talks. And This is what I'm trying to say to you, is that I'm not disagreeing with what you're saying. But every single thing that comes up about these three players, I can twist it to a negative or a positive for either the player, for the club, or for even our own minds. And that's where we are. We have three players that can talk to any club on the continent of Europe now, right? From today. Now, they haven't done that. We hope they haven't done that. But one is like, if he wants to fucking go, let him go. And then two of them are like, oh, I think that'll actually be all right. But there's actually no evidence that makes any of these three different to each other. None.
That's how an equation works when you have that many unknown variables and you're able to just put in whatever value you want for them. You know, it's this plus this times this to the power of this, and you're able to just put in whatever values you want. You can get whatever answer you want. And that's why it's a little tiring for me that it's the same kind of conversations happening on 20, 30, 100 different YouTube channels, all these different podcasts, on all your social media and all your chat groups and stuff like that. It's just people batting back and forth presumptions and assumptions and all these things. And it's just, there's just nothing to it. But at the end of the day, you come on and you give your opinion about it. And I think that's what it is. It's like, I think I'm the most confident about Mo because he's always felt very attuned to the effect breaking records and setting records and your place in the all-time lists has on your legacy after you're gone. That does seem important. Maybe I've misread that. But the fact that the guy gets his yellow cards for taking his top off, and he only takes his top off when he breaks significant records, like, it's pretty clear that he knows these things. And he's taken it to, or continued to play. He's increased. He's the best Mo Salah that we've ever seen. And that's fucking wild to say that 8 years that he's better than he was in that first season. Because I didn't think you could get a better version of Mo Salah than that 17-18 Mo Salah. Like, I thought that was the mountaintop, and he'd be on a slow decline from there afterwards. And somehow he's rebounded ridiculously well from that. But he's going to look at those records and go, break the 20-20 of Thierry Henry, set a new Premier League assist record, get myself third, maybe second, maybe first all-time Premier League goal scoring. All that shadow of a doubt stuff. I think that stuff, not that it matters to him, but I think Mo Salah, he seems like a smart enough man that he can put himself 20 years in the future and go, how do I want people to talk about me when my kids are adults? You know, when my kids are 30, when I have grandkids, what do I want my grandkids to hear about me? I want them to hear, your grandfather is Mo Salah. He was the best player to ever play in the Premier League. And he does that with Liverpool. He doesn't do it anywhere else. I mean, Eunice says he wants the Rush record. If he can break Ian Rush's goal-scoring record, then we are about to have 3 or 4 spectacular years. Spectacular years.
He's not breaking Ian Rush's record, but no. the thing is, like, I think it's. I'm not saying when people think that these two lads will sign, I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying we're thinking about them differently, possibly because they are different. The circumstances are different. You know, I think if Virgil van Dijk and Mo Salah were 35 and 36 now, I think these deals would have been done a long time ago, because Liverpool are offering a deal. These players are going, what? Yeah, 100%, give us it. Whereas, you know, this one here it should be a bit easier to do. I think that the level Liverpool are at, the age these players are at, and you say to them, listen, you know, they've given 7 years of their career to Liverpool. It's the 7 best years of both of their careers, and they're legends of Liverpool Football Club. But I think there's always that little bit of cement on top, just to make sure that brick never moves in history. And I think that's where Van Dijk and Salah possibly are. And let's be fair, they could sign deals and be 36 years of age in 3 years' time or whatever, and still go off and play in the MLS and make a fortune and live that lifestyle. And I think it would actually be a lifestyle that would suit both, rather than the Saudi Arabia thing. I think at 36 years of age, they go, right, we're off to play in Miami now, or New York, or fucking LA, or whatever they're playing, you know.
Toronto FC.
Sheboygan, you know. But that feels like maybe that's the path for them. With the Trent one, it is the biggest deal of his career, without a shadow of a doubt. And it possibly tees up the last big contract of his career, let's be fair, if all things were to go well. If he left and went to Real Madrid, or he stayed here. I think if he stays here, he more or less becomes Liverpool captain, I think, in the next 2 seasons or so. To the point where I actually wouldn't be surprised if he actually took over the captaincy with Virgil still at the club. And and became that sort of player for Liverpool. But it is a different scenario, and I can see why people are making more ease with what's going on with Virgil and Salah, because it's like they'll be fine, you know. And I can see arguments when it's over here and people going, well, maybe one of them wants to find out what's happening to the other two, you know, and you know, if the other two were to go, should Trent stay? If Trent was to go, the other two, you know, and there can be bits of that. But at the end of the day, I think we're walking off nothing. I think we're walking off nothing. And people are, you know, we genuinely are. We're walking off scraps here as to what's going on. But the one thing that's definite is we are into the last 6 months about their contracts. They can, at any time, pick up a pen and sign for anybody else, and there's nothing we can do about it. And as a club,
if I
I don't
wake
think
up
we should
tomorrow
allow
and there's news that Mo Salah signed a pre-contract agreement with Paris Saint-Germain, I'm just going to go right to the bathroom and start throwing up and crying. Because I don't want this era to end. I can't get across how much I have reignited my love affair with Mohamed Salah. It's fucking guy is unbelievable.
Well,
He's
look,
just he can't go.
It's not a perfect situation. I think there's an awful lot involved. Both who are at the club now and who are not at the club, and people go, always having to go off Klopp. I'm not. There's loads of people that have gone in now with that club in the last 18 months, and it's not all on one person, but there's quite a few people I would suggest that should have and would have been involved in this deal that aren't there any longer, and people that are here now that probably haven't done it properly and left it too long. I absolutely believe that. But right now, I think my worry is the disruption, and I don't want any disruption to Liverpool. And if it takes them all to come out and say, well, look, we're all leaving in the summer, but we're 100% committed to what we're trying to do for the next 6 months, so be it. But the whole not knowing, and let's be honest, fucking dickheads like me and you sitting up on a Wednesday night discussing it for an hour and 20 minutes, I don't think it helps anybody. Just doesn't, and that's just the way it is. But
it gives people something to watch. The one solace to take is you're right. You just don't. There's a fucking league to win. That is the single most important thing. The contracts come closely after it, but there's a league and other trophies to win this season, and that is the only thing that should matter to all of us, except for the people that work with Richard Hughes in the sporting, directing department, whatever it is. You cannot have our season get derailed by these distractions. I don't think Arne Slot's going to let that happen. It just doesn't seem like
no, it doesn't feel like that, and it feels like it's Arne Slot kind of has to look out whether it's like if they sign, they sign. I don't think he's flippant, but I think he's loved the case of if they sign, brilliant. If nothing's said, brilliant. I'm going to continue on as I am. If something is said where they're leaving, we'll deal with it. The sort of way. I think there is a coolness to what's going on there. But the funny thing is, Liverpool will be. I think Liverpool in the sense of disruption, Liverpool would 100% be better off, right? Knowing what's going on with these players for good or bad by the end of this month, than not knowing, because this is only going to crank up more and more and more as every day goes on. And when you get to that March, April, and it could be really tight in the Premier League, and you don't know. And this is going to keep going and going and going. Whereas if you offer me, listen, you're not going to know about what's going on for the next 3 months, or you are going to know in the next week, but them 3 could be gone by the end of the season. At the end of the season, give me that option, please. Yeah. That option right there, please. I'll have it twice. Give me a double helping of that, please. And that's where I am with it, because it's 3 huge players. But there's another 20 players, and there's another manager, and there's another backroom staff. There's members of the backroom staff, and there's fucking fans going to games, supporting team every week that need to know what's going on. That sounds like I'm demanding out the football club.
To know.
Maybe deserve or really want to know. That it just settles everyone, and everyone knows where they stand, I suppose. That's where it is. Mitch says, are people still talking about contracts? I thought we had moved on to bread. Oh, had he moved on to bread? Fair enough.
We were talking about bread, yes. We were extolling the virtues of garlic bread and having a real right go at the daft notion of eating Italian food with chips, because that's just crazy.
Boy.
That's what garlic bread is for.
Yeah, but all the chippers and all the places that sell chips in Ireland are all Italian selling it.
Yeah, I know, but that would be like getting food from a junkie's house and being like, this all has drugs in it. You guys are addicted to potatoes. Not everything has to have potatoes.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't go down that road because a lot of people are addicted to drugs as well.
And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, there's
Well, then
something
there's
wrong with
nothing. Well,
that.
then there's
No,
nothing wrong with chips.
Italian food, with the exception of gnocchi, there is not really room in Italian cuisine for the mighty potato, and that's fine. That's fine.
Yeah,
You
but
don't have to have potatoes and
but you
everything.
can eat
Garlic
whatever
bread.
you want or whatever you want, and like to turn around and say you can't have chips with Italian food is nonsense.
It's fine. It's just,
Well, why is it
what,
wrong?
what are you having your garlic bread with then? You're just not having garlic bread?
I have spaghetti bolognese with garlic bread.
There you go.
I would 100% have lasagna with chips.
Why? Where did the garlic bread go?
I wouldn't have
Bolognese is just like
no
strung out.
garlic bread with me spaghetti bolognese. I would have chips with the lasagna.
That's crazy.
Well, it's not
I don't see.
because like all the people, like literally Irish people don't deal in potatoes anymore over here. It's only Italians that use them. Like there's like literally no Irish people own chippers over here.
Mm,
Right? When you walk into chipper for your bag of chips, they're all Italian lads. You know what I mean?
really?
Yeah.
Yeah. See, all of our pizza places over here are all owned by Greek people.
There's a federation here. It's called the Italian or the Irish Traditional Italian Chipper Association, the ITICA. There's no
I
like,
don't know if
there's no like, there's no
serious.
like, there's no like Irish Chipper owners PLC or set of lads. The only official set of lads over here with regards to takeaway chips is the Italian lads. And that's
Weird.
absolutely fine. Garlic bread is French, not Italian. You're absolute peasants. No, what is it?
That's fine.
No.
I mean,
Who said it's French?
Pano garlic. That's fine.
Yeah. No. Anyway,
The two cuisines mesh together quite nicely in terms of their use of sauces and whatnot. But like Ashley says there, she says, I don't think there's a place over where she lives where you could get chips. Yeah, she says, I don't think I could order Italian food and chips anywhere. And I don't think I could either. Like,
no,
I
but
think they'd be like,
you hold on. You don't think you could, or you don't think you would?
I don't think if you went into a proper Italian, now there's some places over here that serve, you get a lot of like, I don't know if you guys have the restaurants that have like a 17-page menu.
Oh yeah, well
Where
I'm not a big fan of them.
No,
And
because they're not very
if
good.
there's pictures of the menu, I'm 100% not part of that. No.
Well, you would not like a lot of restaurants over here. A lot of picture book menus over here. But if you went to a proper sit-down Italian restaurant, they're not going to have French fries on the menu.
But they
They're
could
just
get you
not.
some.
He's just ordering. Hey, I got Skip the Dishes coming by with a bag of French fries from down the street. You mind just grabbing those for me and bring them in?
Emmett is here pretending that he knows a lot of Italians. He said, Italians wouldn't eat garlic bread with traditional Italian food. How do you know? You don't even know any Italians. You know what I mean? Don't be worrying about
He's
it.
getting
Just
drunk on German liqueur just because he had a bottle of limoncello one time. He just thinks he's the new Irish ambassador to Italy, this guy.
yeah. Do you know what he thinks he is? Do you ever see the fella on Instagram that just went around drinking Guinness and rating it? The Guinness guru, I think his name was, who isn't the Guinness guru anymore, but seems to be still drinking and reviewing an awful lot of Guinness. He's confusing me now, that guy. But yeah, you can have we don't want French fries, says Dylan. We want chips. Yeah. Yeah, and Gavin says the pictures never look the same as reality. The worrying thing is, right, some places, if the food come out like that, you'd be going, no fucking way. No way. The picture stuff is unbelievable. Paul Giovanni says, hey, over here. But is Paul Giovanni, I thought that was just a made-up name. You're in witness protection. He's not Italian. Anyway, chips. Chips is absolutely fine wherever you want. Watching from sunny Gran Canaria, says Ash. Still listening away over here on Halls. Fair fucks to you. Order lasagna, few chips, have a beer with it. Happy days. Best of 2025. And we'd be better run because we're about fucking an hour and a half on this. We are. But I've had a lovely time. Thanks mostly to Jono for storing those senses up on the 4th of January. I love it. But I think me and Jono can agree
And
we're
Mitch
going to
for
win the
bringing
fucking
the
league.
garlic bread chat, getting us back to our roots, which is food talk. It was Mitch _LFC that was driving the stop talking about contracts. Let's talk about food stuff. So,
Yeah,
like a proper member there. I see he's
yeah.
got that 6-month membership badge.
Nice. And Eunice says, dipping your chips in a milkshake, Eunice, you should be arrested. And the 7-inch destroyer, what a fucking
Love
name.
it. My
Happy New
favorite
Year
name.
and Happy New Year and best wishes to you as well. That has been it. Today is Wednesday. I really don't know what day it is. We will be back, I would say, on Friday to preview Liverpool against Manchester United on Sunday. We will be back following the game on Sunday, and then we'll be back at 10 p.m. having a look back at the game again. And hopefully Shawnee, Keith, myself and Emma are all back fighting fit and back for the first Sunday in
Oh, you better have
2025.
Shawnee back. The howling masses when
Oh,
Shawnee
the
lost season
people
on
just
his show.
fucking...
My goodness.
Well, to be fair, I asked Shawnee to come on tonight. He's not in the best. He said, what are you going to talk about? I said, it's probably going to end up going transfers. He said, no. And I went,
Smart choice. Shawnee,
fair
smart
enough. So
choice.
we're going to run. Thanks a million to everyone for watching. Thanks a million to Matt for joining me. That has been really, really good. Liverpool are going to win the league. Don't worry about it. Enjoy every single minute of it. Talk to you in a bit. Over and
My
out.
dog died.